Our next speaker comes from Switzerland, all the way here to Hanover. Dr. Andreea Hossmann is the head of data science at Swisscom for AI and machine learning. She has a PhD from ETH Zürich in computer networking, and then she switched over to AI. And she also has 2 kids. Now, I find that a pretty good setup for what she's going to tell us today, because she's going to explain why people should be at the center of the organization. Now, I'm excited for this presentation, and I hope you are too, so please help me welcome to the stage Dr. Andreea Hossmann. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right over here.
This?
It should be working.
Okay, cool. So thank you very much for this opportunity to share my thoughts on artificial intelligence with you today. Artificial intelligence, it has come a very long way since its inception in the 1950s. And after several highs and lows over the years, AI's popularity has grown exponentially over the past several years. And I think it is safe to say that it has taken the world by storm. Case in point, today I am standing here in the IoT Summit speaking about artificial intelligence. So, artificial intelligence is all over the news these days. It sounds really like it's coming out of a sci-fi novel or movie. And perhaps you feel very excited about this. Perhaps you're like, oh, yes, I can just sit back and relax. Our AI will do all the work for us. Or perhaps you're scared, perhaps you're terrified, and you're planning your survival in some bunker somewhere. And I get this with all the buzz. It's totally understandable. But either way, I would say not so fast. Because for all the impressive news about AI and for all the progress that's been made, there is also a rich trove of fails. So we've seen over the past months and last year a bunch of Alexa events where Alexa turned on loud music in someone's home and the police came. At some point, Alexa ordered dollhouses for someone after hearing a report on TV about an Alexa failing and ordering dollhouses for a kid. We have also seen some tragic car crashes caused by malfunctioning image recognition in self-driving cars. And virtual assistants, they're not always on the same wavelength with us, to put it mildly. But there are definitely great opportunities in artificial intelligence with the currently available technology. However, the adoption of artificial intelligence in enterprises today, outside the tech giants, is a little bit underwhelming so far, in my opinion. We see inside our company and also at our customers that people are mostly doing pilot projects. When looking at the startup scene or the, in general, the business scene, AI companies are mostly early stage with their products. And business leaders don't really see a clear return on investment on what they do with artificial intelligence. And finally, what I think is probably the worst symptom of all is that people are doing AI for the sake of AI. Building AI toys just for fun, which is okay, I guess, but it's not going to bring the value that we're expecting out of AI. So I would like to discuss here today how to do this, how to fix all these issues, and how to accelerate the adoption of AI in the enterprise. And as you've probably heard in previous presentations, and as Alex also mentioned, the goal or the message is that it should come from the people and from an understanding of the needs of the people. So I think probably the most obvious problem with the adoption of AI enterprise is the fact that we humans are linear, we're thinking linearly, we're progressing linearly, whereas technology is progressing exponentially. So when a new technology comes up, it starts slowly, you do pilots, you don't really see much result, it looks like it's failing, and the result is that it's a bad deal, and you don't think you should invest in it, but in the end it takes off, and you're already too late. And as a telco and technology company, Swisscom has been experiencing this pattern for a while now. So we've seen this with the various waves of digitalization, with the arrival of ubiquitous mobility and connectivity, with IoT and virtualization, and we're kind of hoping to live a different story with artificial intelligence. And over these waves, we've learned a series of lessons. First of all, for all the slowness of taking in and using technology as an enterprise, customers are actually the complete opposite. Customers have sky-high expectations from the very beginning. Their behavior changes. These are just some examples from the mobility and connectivity domains. So our users have doubled their mobile usage per year. They're watching a lot of video on demand. They're watching Netflix. And a lot of people have stopped using fixed telephony altogether. Our proven business models have disappeared, and we've really had to adapt. So today, our company, and I think many like ours, is making 70% of our revenue with products that did not even exist 10 years before. So how does a large enterprise catch up with the pace of technology? And again, the answer is by realizing that the goal is not the technology itself. It's only a means to an end. And to reach that goal, we need the people and the way they work together to change in order to reach the goal. We need a new culture. We need to put humans first. And I'm going to show you in the next few minutes how we did this. We need to know and accept failure. And we've had a number of these events at Swisscom in the past years. We need to form a new leadership, a leadership that develops skills deliberately, that puts the appropriate value on every member of a team, whether it's an entrepreneur, a networker, a trainer, and so on. And finally, we need to keep our eyes always on the future, on the next wave. And this brings me back to artificial intelligence and our story around its adoption, first of all, internally, and second, on how we help our customers to do this. The first question that we had to answer for ourselves about artificial intelligence is, what is it actually to us? What is artificial intelligence to us? And we started answering this question about 3 years ago when we really took in the topic seriously. And the answer was relatively simple. We need to be more efficient, and we need to get machines to do more of the work for us. But we need to be able to tell them how to do this. Does anyone remember or know what this is? Yes? A punch card, exactly. Thank you. So this is the way that we used to communicate with computers in the past, and the effort was really extreme and really annoying. So it was us humans doing the adaptation. We adapted ourselves to the way the machines wanted us tell them what to do. And artificial intelligence is here to change this. Artificial intelligence is the next step. It's a paradigm shift where the machine reaches out to us, and the machine learns our language and our way of communicating. So instead of using a machine, we're switching to having a conversation with the machine. And we're already doing this in our private lives, perhaps with Alexa or Google and so on. But how can enterprises take advantage from this? How can we take advantage from the key difference between us and machines, which is the fact that we are able now to process unstructured data really easily, and while machines were not able to do so in the past, they're now also gaining this capability. All right, so we know what artificial intelligence means for our company. We are a communication company, and artificial intelligence is going to enhance our ability to communicate not only among ourselves, but also with machines. Now, how do we implement this? And I come back to my point, the fact that the people should be at the center. So we started this effort by building a team that covers all the aspects of implementing artificial intelligence. So starting, of course, with specialists in natural language processing, machine learning, and speech recognition, and so on, but also, and probably most importantly, with user experience and user interface designers, because users have not yet fully adopted artificial intelligence. And there is a really big risk that because of the high expectations, there will be high disappointment from the users when things don't go as planned. And again, we've seen this in the fails of Alexa, Google Assistant, self-driving cars, and so on. So this is, by putting user experience at the center, our way to try to avoid this. The second step that we've taken is to ensure the continuity and the sustainability of our effort. We've partnered with the leading AI institutions in Switzerland, some of which are also world-class. So we have a digital lab at the EPFL in Lausanne, where we conduct research with the professor at EPFL, some of which we also publish, and I will speak more about this at the end of the presentation. We're working with ETH in Zurich, EDIAP, and other institutes. And this is also then from where our team comes from. And finally, the third step is that we realize this will not work unless we collaborate. And so through our venturing arm, we are actively collaborating with startups working on this topic. So we have a fund of several hundred million francs that is dedicated to working together with artificial intelligence startups on these topics. Okay, so now we get to the interesting part. What actually have we done? So we understand what Swisscom, what artificial intelligence is to Swisscom. We have all the elements in place that allow us to use this technology, but how are we going to use it? And again, it comes back to the ability to become more efficient, because in the end, as Paul Krugman was saying, a country's ability to improve its standards of living over time depends almost entirely on its ability to raise its output per worker. And the only way to do this is to become more and more efficient. So we've tried various ways of becoming more efficient in various areas of our business and of our customers' businesses. We started with customer experience. We continued with projects with legal, where we looked at how to improve contract management and how to understand automatically the content of contracts and help the lawyers answer important questions faster. We've worked with human resources, marketing, and so on. But over these 3 years that we've been working on this topic, we've noticed that really the most impactful domain where we can apply artificial intelligence is definitely customer service. So And the reason for this is up here. We have a lot of customer service requests coming to our contact center. We have about 13 million of them coming through the voice channel, so on the phone. We have over 1 million coming in text form. And if you're a bit familiar with Swisscom, you know that customer service is part of our brand. So this is one place where we cannot afford to fail. And like I said, customers are expecting a lot of things from not only from our company, but in general. Customer service should be increasingly personal. We should be able to serve customers transparently over any channel. We should be able to switch channels seamlessly. The customers want to be served in their own language, and we need to know their context. We cannot ask them questions to which we already know the answer. And finally, it needs to fit the brand. And we've already experienced this. The number of interactions between our company and our customers is exploding. And it's not the only company for which this is happening. There is a Gartner survey that is probably already outdated, but it basically predicted that by 2020, 30% of internet searches would be done without a screen. So that means we'll be speaking into our phone or other device to do a search. And this is a huge challenge for customer service, especially in a country with so many different languages, like Switzerland. So our answer to this is that customer service requests from all channels should first and foremost go through a robot, virtual assistant, who will ideally be able to solve the customer's problem directly. And in case it isn't, it should be able to seamlessly connect the customer and transfer the customer context to a virtual, to a human agent. But as I said before, we need to keep people at the center of our technological endeavors, and this case is no exception. If we just went and replaced the ways that customers contact us with a robot, there would be a lot of potential failure. We cannot afford to have a Google Assistant talking to our customers and fail to understand what they want. Even if that only happens in, I don't know, 10% of the cases. That is still not acceptable. So we really thought very hard about it and came up with a way to minimize this risk while still taking steps towards the final goal, which is having virtual assistants deal with our customers. And we started doing this, again, in the place where we thought it's most impactful. And this is our call center, where 50% of our contacts arrive, and which has very, very high costs at the moment. And here's how we did it. So instead of starting directly with the customer-facing parts of the process, we started in the back. We started with the different knowledge bases where our call center agents are looking for the information. The customer relationship management platform, the ticketing system, the various manuals for the products that we are selling. We put all of these together and enabled the agents to search for a solution by just typing something in one search field. So we just slightly changed the agent's process from opening 10 different windows to search for information into just opening a search field. And this has already had a great impact. The next step was to, instead of the user taking actively the action to search, we started doing this search in the background. So the agent would type a summary of the customer's problem so that we have a record of it, and the next agent can take over seamlessly in case of need. And from this summary, we did the search automatically, and we gave the agent 3 suggested solutions for the customer's problem, from which he could choose, and he could also give feedback to the machine to improve the results next time. The part of the system up to this point is already productive in our call center for about 2 years or so. We're also working on the third step, which is bringing this directly to the customer. So instead of having to call Swisscom and to wait on the line and to get annoyed, the customer can just go on our website and type in their problem and already get suggested solutions and perhaps solve their problem themselves. And finally, the last step, and where we actually originally wanted to get, is turning this into a virtual assistant. So instead of artificially letting a user try to describe a problem so that a machine can understand it, the user can naturally talk to a virtual assistant and describe their problem and get it solved. So this is our end goal for this. We are still working on it. It's still in prototyping stage, and this should also, of course, include the possibility for the user to speak into the phone and describe their problem again as they would to a human agent. And there's a really big challenge when it comes to low-resource languages. And perhaps you're already familiar with Switzerland a little bit and know that about 60% of our population speaks several German dialects for which there is no written content anywhere. So this is one of the challenges that we're tackling, creating speech recognition for this language and for the Swiss market. So I have shown you our way of understanding what our biggest potential domain for using artificial intelligence is, customer service, and I have shown you how we've gone about implementing artificial intelligence in a way that minimizes the risk for ourselves and for our company. Now, of course, we're also still looking ahead. Remember, we have to keep our eyes on the next wave. And the way we do this is through our research collaborations. We have a variety of topics that we're working on. First of all, you've heard it from other speakers as well, and you probably already know it. Data is at the center of artificial intelligence. And in many cases, we don't have enough of this data. So we need to get very creative about how we efficiently use it. So how do we select the most useful data for training artificial intelligence? How do we augment the data? How do we get the most out of the data that we do have? A second domain where we're focusing is improving conversations between humans and machines in text and speech form. So we're not the only ones working on this. There are much bigger players out there working on it, but it's a really, really huge domain. So no one is covering everything. So as I said, we're focusing on our dialects, and we're focusing on things like key phrase extraction, where we're open sourcing our work and we really have the best in the world algorithm. We're focusing on dialogue management, and again, how to make the best use of the scarce dialogue data to create the best possible managers, and so on. And finally, and again stressing the point and the message that I want to give across today, we're focusing on the user. When we're letting machines talk to people, and we still want to meet the high expectations on quality of service, we need to really we need to let the machine have a deep understanding of how the user feels. So we need to be able to know the emotions of the user, whether they're angry, whether they're excited, whether they're scared, or happy, whatever. And in case of negative emotions, we need to be able to immediately transfer them to a human agent. We also need to understand the user's context in order to be better able to serve them what they're interested in. And finally, pet topic of ours is also meta-learning. And this is, again, part of looking even further ahead at how we can enable machines to teach themselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Andreea. Thanks for inspiring us.
Thank you.
I'm sure you guys have some questions that we can answer right now. I have a question, of course, but maybe somebody from the audience wants to ask a question as well. I have a microphone coming around. Anybody curious? Yes, sir. Second row, thank you. And you may repeat the question if you can. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the lecture. I'm just a beginner for AI, so maybe I might waste your time, but one of the presentations showed AI and robot and blockchain. I would like to know how this blockchain collaborate with AI and robot.
Thank you.
Great, thank you for the question. So the question was how to combine artificial intelligence and blockchain. These are two technologies that we can probably combine in very good ways, but it all has to start with business needs. It all has to start with the needs of people. So asking how can we combine AI and blockchain is, in my opinion, a bit of a dangerous question, because it takes the focus off the people. But just to attempt an answer, I already said in the presentation, we in artificial intelligence, at least in the way that we think about it at Swisscom, which is enabling communication between machines and humans, the data is very scarce. And the reason is also because companies do not really readily share or combine data among themselves. And probably blockchain, in some way or another, could help with this, because blockchain is also about sharing things.
Thank you. Looking at the time right now, I would welcome one more question, and then we'll wrap it up. Any more questions after that? I'm sure you'll be available maybe backstage.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just one question. Could you tell us something about the technology? Are you developing all the algorithms on your own, or, for example, are you developing the chatbots for your own and the emotion detection, or do you use something like the IBM cloud?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. So we're not really locked in on any mode of working or another. We do whatever makes most sense in the business context that we have. That being said, yes, we do our own developments. Like I said, we also open source some of our projects. But we also have technology partners that we're working with among big and large and smaller companies.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
With that being said, I want to thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
up,
very much.
inspiring us. Thank you so much.